What this is separating ourselves from the competition immediately, gaining control of the phone call and getting the seller engaged and setting very realistic expectations of what's going to happen on that call. So all of our calls here in our office, we make an offer on the first call. We never call back to make an offer. The hardest part about this business is getting the damn people on the phone. What
On
you
the
got
phone,
on the
right.
phone, make that offer. So when we get them on the phone, hey, John, this is Eric with GLC Home Buyers. How you doing today? Great. Well, it looks like your property was paired with us because they thought we'd be a good fit. I'm showing here in the notes because all of our properties or leads should come with some sort of motivation on it. Whether it's the market's hot, going through a divorce, it doesn't matter. We mention it because we want them to know, hey, we actually have information on you right in the beginning of the phone call. So it looks like your property was paired with us because they said, you're looking to sell because the market's hot. Well, that's the point of the phone call today, to see whether or not your property qualifies. So we qualify every single property. And we say that in the very beginning because most people hear, well, I get 100 phone calls a day. I got the hottest property on the block. And they call them up with commission breath, just trying to make offers. So what we do is we take the stance in the very beginning. We need to see if this even qualifies. So what I want you to do real quick, John, before I get into talking to you about your property, is grab a pen and a paper real quick so I can have you jot all my information down. Because where I think so many people mess up is they go through an entire phone call. They make an offer on a house to somebody over a phone that can't see you. They don't know what you look like. They don't know anything about you. You make an offer and you expect them to say yes. And then after you make that offer, they have to go, and who am I talking to again?
Right.
So what we do is we put a name tag on their desk. Because you're hearing me say, I got a website and a company name. If you don't have it, you're still okay. And then we will say, John, go ahead and take my phone number down real quick. And then after we give them our phone number, it's the only thing we ask them to repeat. And the reason is because I can remember your name. Names are pretty easy to remember. Names of companies are pretty easy to remember, but it's hard to remember phone numbers nowadays. Right. So the only reason we say, hey, and can you repeat the phone number so I know you have it right? I want to know if I got their attention and I have them engaged. Because if they can repeat the number, I got their attention. And
they're writing.
So, and then after they do that, I'll say, so this is what's going to happen on this phone call. I set the expectation. One or two things are going to happen. I'm going to ask you some questions about the property. I'm just an acquisitions manager. I don't say yes or no on whether or not we buy homes. So I take the pressure off of me and put it on the back office. Because I know when I make that first offer, it's going to be the lowest offer possible. I don't want them to get mad at me. I want them to get mad at the guy in the back. So I position myself in a way that I'm on their side. My job is to get you as much money as humanly possible for your home. So by the end of the call, one or two things are going to happen. They're either going to say, yes, your property's approved, and here's the offer, or they're going to say it doesn't meet the criteria and it's denied, and here's the reason why. So that's the intro for us. It takes about a minute and a half to go through our intro. But dude, if you got somebody after an intro that's willing to stick through that conversation when you just told them their property might not qualify, you have an interested person on the phone. More importantly, you have separated yourself from the competition because nobody else doing this shit. All they're doing is saying, hey, what's the age of your roof? What's the age of your AC? And what upgrades have you done? Like, that's about the extent of most conversations in this industry. Right. Then we go into fact find. Our team is supposed to spend 7 minutes on fact find, trying to figure out why they need the money. So I don't want my team talking about money for the first almost 9 minutes of a phone call. I don't want them to ask about the house. I don't want them to talk about the house. I want them to figure out why they are still on the phone and haven't clicked that little red button, which ends the phone call and ultimately means I'm not interested. So if they say I'm done being a landlord, Awesome. You know what? The crazy thing is that the last 3 properties that I've gotten qualified were all from people that didn't want to be a landlord. You know, the one that sticks out for me, we always use third party stories. We want to relate to them of saying, you know what? This isn't the first time I've done this. I've dealt with people in your situation. Here's what I was able to do for them when I got them qualified. And then I always tie the money they get to a problem they solved. Like Mrs. Jones, she had her granddaughter in the property and she broke the #1 rule when it comes to rental properties. You don't rent to friends or family members.
Family,
Use
right?
the same story every time so I don't have to think about what I'm saying.
Yep.
And then what I'll say is, you know, the easiest way for her to get her granddaughter out of the house is just say, hey, honey, someone's buying the property. We're going to have to find somewhere else for you to go.
Yep.
But here's the beautiful thing about it. When we were able to help her get her granddaughter out of the house and back into her life, she got $57,000 at closing. She was able to pay off $35,000 in credit card debt that she had been saddled with for the last 10 years. She was debt-free for the first time in her entire life. So I understand, Mr. Homeowner, you say you don't want to be a landlord, but why? And after that was a question mark. A question mark, people, is a stop sign for you to shut up and for the homeowner to talk. Most people will ask questions and then they give them a few answers for them to pick through. And then that's ultimately what the seller will end up saying usually. So when you ask a question, shut up and let the people answer. So that's one intro. That's 2 fact find. Pitch is the house. That's step 3. We always start outside, then we go inside. We try to ask questions other people aren't asking, so we sound different. Once we talk about the house, then we make the offer. But before we make the offer, which is step 4, we put every single seller on 2 3-minute holds. Once we're done talking about the house should take you about 15 minutes. So if you do the math, you're about 25 minutes into a call before you're ever making an offer.
An offer. Yep.
Now, when we put them on the first hold, because remember, we're qualifying the property. So what we do is we say, all right, I appreciate you, all the information that you've given us. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get up from my desk and I'm going to run back to the underwriters office, because they've been looking at the property for about the last 15 minutes. So I want to go see what they're thinking. So just bear with me real quick as I run back there. And again, it's how I positioned what I was getting ready to do. If I just said, hold on real quick, I'm gonna talk to the underwriters. I said, no, I'm gonna get up from my desk real quick. I'm gonna run back there and see what the underwriters are thinking. While all we're doing is putting our phone on mute for 3 minutes and we're sitting there and listening to them.
So since we're at this point, let's kind of just cover something. So now obviously you have to have the offer ready at some level, right? So
Yes.
So so I'm assuming you do your analysis before the call. No. Okay.
No.
So you're doing it on the call after they tell you what's wrong with the house, or like how are you figuring out the offer?
Yep. Good question. If you're a one-man band and you're only getting a couple leads, I'll be running before you run your numbers before you make the call, right?
The call. Yep.
If you're only getting a couple leads, or while you're doing the 6-minute hold, run it then.
Okay.
Because once you get them on the phone, you don't want to let them go without making an offer. So the way I run my office, though, is I have all my closers in a line of cubicles, and I stand at the very front of those cubicles, and I underwrite every single deal every single day. So I am allowing my closers to focus on the conversation while I run the numbers for them.
Awesome.
I'm hiring to replace myself in that position right now so I can step back and start building the business more. But I underwrite everything for the team right now.